The furry ones?
No.
They're like, they got fur on them? Yeah.
A little bit.
They'd be good.
They just look funnier.
Welcome to 1620 High Noon Podcast with today's co-hosts, Robin Unger, Kit Warren, and Gord Kehoe.
Awesome. I love how we're just all
Today,
co-hosts.
Yep.
we are going to be speaking about food.
This is a big topic.
Kit Warren, I believe that you did some farming in the near past.
Yeah.
Let's dig into it. What brought you to the farming life?
Yep.
And where did that start? Let's hear about that, please.
Okay, awesome. Thanks very much, bro.
Gord, thank you for being on the show.
I guess I'll take the start and just dive right into it. And you wanted to dig into it, and we're going to dig into the soil, because that's what I started teaching people first, was the soil itself. Soil takes 2,000 years to roll to the bottom of the mountain, sit at the bottom of the pond in the rich topsoil from all the organic material of the forest. So if you're looking at how soil's created on Earth, it's time. It takes 2,000 years to make really good, luminous, pure black topsoil. And we can make it, or pigs can make it. By farming with pigs, you can take them to an area of plant life and put the pigs through it, and they'll eat everything and poop it out. And in 4 weeks, you've done what it took the mountainside to do to make soil.
So let me roll things back a little farther.
Yeah.
You're a guy who likes dirt. How did you get to enjoy dirt so much? You're playing
what dirt do we have on Robin that we can use?
Well, he's a dirty fighter. He's a dirty fighter.
I might be a dirty fighter.
He is a dirty fighter.
Well, I have to be.
I heard about that.
I have to use these tactics because
I would say so.
I feel inferior in certain ways. I have to use the most lethal moves.
What the hell?
To get out of the...
So the tip of my dick and my fucking dangered parts are fucking calling for you to stop abusing me, Robin, with your vicious strikes of, instead of I'm tired because he can't get the words out, he just strikes.
All right,
my favorite part of what was just said that has no context.
No,
he just talked about his privates for no reason.
We
don't even know what happened.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to talk about then. I got to tell the story, and the story goes like this. Robin Unger is a vicious cage fighter, and he comes out with these strikes for about a minute and a half. So I'm like, okay, I push him a little further. Let's go 2 minutes. And by 2 minutes time, instead of not punching anymore or stopping the exercise with a nod, he goes for a vicious strike to end the exercise. And so you have to watch your privates. If you're holding the pads for Robin, you have to watch your privates, because you will get tagged with a vicious strike that means, I'm tired. I want to take a break. So that's what it's about. And you know what? You just got to be ready and aware. And so he's teaching you at the same time not to be a little pansy, not to be ready to get striked.
Well, in the streets, you got to be
tough.
All of your parts, right?
Yep.
People in the streets don't follow the rules.
Anyway, the tip of my fucking wanker does not want you hitting that part anymore. So now, hit me in the chest.
So now, if I can roll back now to how did you get into? How did you?
Hey, that's how we started uncomfortable.
We're all laughing at different things.
Yeah.
How did you get into farming, Kit? Is the question. Is my question for you.
We're gonna go back to the soil.
Yeah, we're getting back to the soil here.
We're not going to talk about sack taps anymore.
No more sack taps.
You've played a lot of.
I like that sack taps
of sports.
So this sporting thing is. This is how you know what it started. A wet towel in the change room, whoosh, like a fucking little whip, right on the sack or the ass cheek.
Oh God!
Holy crap! And all you had to do is wet the end of it, and there was a fucking lethal weapon. Do you guys know about this?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is fucking how bullying starts.
So getting back to farming.
Jeez.
In Souk.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on traffic.
What brought you to purchase a farm in Souk and start developing these methods of animal husbandry and
I had a
organic
career doing rugby, and at least I thought it was a career. It was more like just for fun. But I felt that I was studying the art of rugby and working towards bettering my practice on the field, and that was through boxing for fitness and running and weightlifting and eating different foods. So I spent a long time breaking down my body, and I started the farm to heal my body and my head from concussions.
Right.
And
so you wanted to be out in the forest.
I wanted to be in the forest.
Foods.
I wanted to be eating my own handmade foods and grown foods of non-GMO plants.
And Gord, to include you in the conversation here, you spent lots of time on the farm, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I used to eat all of his food.
Gord ate a lot of food, and
I got a few stories about my fucking chickens that I loved having for a week of food, and Gord would come over for one meal, and boom, the chicken would be gone. I'd be like, oh my, no sandwiches, no leftovers. I was like, holy crap, this kid can eat.
He also gave me weed.
Right.
And so when there's weed and there's food around,
you eat.
Yeah, it gets fucking scarfed down. And I did eat a whole chicken.
Yeah, I found that the weed was helping with those concussions and injuries and brokenness of my body as well. I chose the cannabis over Tylenols or pills, and I didn't feel right with those.
So that was part of your
helps in a big way.
Discovery of different healthy
I started smoking cannabis
plants.
About 33.
Okay. Yeah.
33 years old.
And you were still playing rugby at that time.
A little bit.
Not just competitively, maybe?
No, I was still playing with classics and...
Classics.
Canadian classics in Bermuda. It's pretty competitive.
Was that with the gentleman that we met earlier today?
Yep. Mr. Mike Mossy.
Mr. Mike Moss. Shout out Mike Moss.
Shout out Mike Moss with the Cowichan Piggies.
Yeah.
Those guys are in the mud, and we got one of them here.
He's also a ref.
Yeah, big ref.
He spends a lot of time helping out with rugby as well.
Nice. Shout out. Did he ever make a visit to the farm?
Yeah, definitely.
Mike Moss.
Yep.
Yeah,
Gord,
you know what? I've seen him there before.
Gord, can you tell us a little bit about the Farm Fit program? I saw a video where you unloaded maybe 30...
it's called helping out your buddies.
30 garbage pails of what was it? Hops or something?
Yeah, that was. I bet you Kate would do a better job explaining what happened. To be completely honest with you, but that's just it's just helping out your buddy when he's got a hernia and he can't lift the stupid things.
Yes, this was. I was 2 years under the hernia, but the current exercise that Gord was talking about was 4 barrels of grain from the canoe club set up along the side of a hook truck dumpster that we used to take all the grain back to the animals, and they would fill up with water. They'd leave them outside, so these garbage cans.
Is that what happened to them?
Fill up with water.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so now that you, that's
I just thought it was like that.
No, it's because they filled up with water and then they didn't put a lid on it.
Oh, so we've got extra heavy.
So we've got these huge things to lift, and I've torn my. So for 2 years, I'm doing this with a strap on and a torn hamstring because my animals have to eat. And Gord, finally, I'm like, Gord. I challenged you to do this, Gord. It was almost like a challenge thing, and we timed them, and it was really good exercise. Really,
yeah, it was fun to do it for a challenge because it was tough to lift the buckets in the first place, and then get them up and over the side and tap them on the side and hold them while they do that. It was like hard on my back for sure.
Yep.
It was hard on my back.
Yeah,
it was hard on my back. but it wasn't painful in any sort of way. It was just, you have to be hard on yourself for it to get stronger.
Yeah, and then do different techniques. Like
and that was part of it. I lifted it really well.
The arms and all that other things is just more dynamic.
Yeah, in that video, like, because there is video of it.
Yep.
My back's,
can we pull up that
in a great
video?
position.
I want to see this video again.
I can link that in the description below.
That would be really good because that link, FarmFit was a real driver of get healthy, but have the health contribute to some of these farmers that are growing heritage animals, and they're like 75.
Yeah,
they're 75. Can you imagine if a bunch of strong lads showed up one day to the farm? Hey, farmer John,
what do you need done?
Can we chop some wood? Can we dig a ditch for you for your water? Saving the from the rains here that are coming, or whatever. These farmers are producing this high quality food here. They could use some strength training in a way of farm help.
Well, yeah, it's really important to note is that whatever you do on a regular basis, your body's going to adapt to do. And if you don't do shit all the time, you're going to get really fucking good at that.
Yeah.
Right?
So how long does it take? Here's the question
like
for people. So 2 weeks of sitting on the couch, then you become couch potato?
You'll notice it after 2 days.
2 days.
You start aching and hurting from sitting and not moving around.
Wow.
It happens super quick.
Okay, so this is a really good, important part to touch on in the podcast is movement is key.
Yeah, you got to move.
It was small movements.
You got to breathe. Yeah. Oh my God, please breathe, everybody.
Yes. So how do you
breathe into the microphone?
Do we do 5 deep ones?
Just
everybody
is good.
5 deep breaths.
You got to breathe all the way though. Breathe into your belly. Get the air down low. It's awesome.
Hey,
extremely compelling.
Ted, you're not breathing.
Oh,
Ted's off screen here.
Ted's now off screen.
He's the voice of reason off screen.
Now, if you did those 5 breaths with us, and you probably feel pretty decent.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, you're looking at us like we're crazy people.
No, but
so
why would they think that?
Because they didn't do it.
Well,
they don't know.
But here's what it's about. Maybe it's because the Ferrari that they're driving already stopped at it hasn't stopped at the gas station because they haven't done their 5 breaths.
Yeah, so their Ferrari doesn't have an engine in it.
So if they take their breath and they actually feed their Ferrari with the breaths, that's like gassing up at the...
Yeah, I'm just not going to go with the Ferrari.
Well, how about it's a station wagon?
Yeah, it could be.
So if they're a couch potato, there might be a station wagon.
Yeah. It's maybe.
But then we would get nailed to the wall for fat shaming, and then we would be fucking persecuted on this podcast.
I don't know. You can do
Isn't there a lot of babies around right now because they're sitting on the couch eating potato fucking chips?
I don't know how that correlates.
Because then they turn into the millennial whiners that talk about fucking everything.
Getting back to the farm, you had a lot of children that you brought out.
This podcast is more of an adult orientated.
Excuse me.
So
I'm asking you about when you had children out to the farm.
Yep.
For educational tours.
What we had is we had school groups come in from Montessori school, and the teacher and the kids would show up in the bus, and there'd be about 30 kids, and we had a 5-stall horse barn converted into 3 sows and different time periods of baby pigs. So all the kids would come into the barn, and Tigger would be running up and playing and showing them all the different areas of the barn on how to fetch sticks. And in the barn would be 12 little babies running around, and all the kids would take pictures and learn about the processes of what it took to make those quality foods, and treat the animals with respect, and have animal meats that are free of fear, and the fear is caused from their lifestyle. If you have a Walmart pig farm and you throw them all on concrete little pens, and they're all fucking fucked up like this, and then you slaughter that animal and you feed that to your kids, you're not giving those kids a chance at getting off the fucking couch. So I talk like
Very
this
good.
because the anger inside me and boils inside me for father figures to make these wrong decisions to raise healthy children. And I know what it's like to raise healthy children because I'm raising this child inside me.
Right. Well, I'm sure those people, those children who went and visited your farm are now living better lives because of that.
At the end of our farm tour, the whole class would be standing there. I said, "Who wants to be a farmer?" Every single kid was raising their farm.
Right.
Boom. They learned about
there might be
Everybody should do
10%,
that.
20%
Yeah.
now
Sure.
they're farmers. It's hard to say.
Well, that's what the goal was. This I looked at it as, the story of Johnny Appleseed, who seeded all of America with apple seeds and planted them, and they became trees, and then they became strains of apples. And throughout the U.S., there's 15,000 different varieties of apples because of that one man's action.
I haven't read into this story.
Well, you'll look into it.
I'll,
We'll bring that up. Johnny Appleseed.
We'll put that one in the description as well.
Anyway, from
Do
that
you mind
story,
writing that in your pad, Gord?
from that story, the point of teaching 1,200 students,
As well as the farm fit video. Thank you.
yes, 1,200 young kids about farming and farming food processes, that was preparing new farmers for a decade ahead of time. And then that's going to be the number one thing that I think will fix 20 things that we currently face. The economic value, sending our money out of town rather than keeping it here. Why would we send it to the States? Why would we buy food from the States that has poisons and sprays on it? Why wouldn't we make our own here? So
Yep.
those kids will be farmers, and we will have island farmers because of that.
And likely at the very least, they just have their little deck plants, tomatoes,
They're
or their little small area in their backyard, or maybe join one of these local community gardens. Bada bing, bada boom.
Any step helps.
And a lot of this, if Lisa helps us listening today, I think a lot of these buildings,
she's an avid listener.
avid
to this
listener,
show.
likely.
Walks by.
Allegedly.
Well, she's played rugby here.
She's played rugby.
She
Lisa.
gave me the peace sign the other
got
day
some
through the
peace signs.
window. I mean, like, she knows about this
But
place.
it'd be interesting just to know if there's
Let's have her on.
if there's any action towards regulating, so buildings have to have some type of growing areas within their space, like rooftop growing areas, or maybe a floor designated for hydroponic growing they have to have parking for
So
your
you're talking
building.
about growing food in your
Imagine
place.
having a floor dedicated to just food.
They're doing quite a bit of initiatives
Interesting initiative.
where they're using empty land to grow food.
Right.
And they've got some success.
But that's like flat land, right? If we're building up always, we got these floors,
Yep.
roofs as well. Anyway, Lisa, give me a shout. Anyway, Gord,
Does she have your number?
I'm in the phone book.
Are you?
Yeah,
There is still a phone book. I didn't
Yeah.
know this thing still existed.
I'm in the phone book.
Where do we get a phone book?
You
now?
get a phone book for self-defense.
Yeah,
Is that what it's for? Like, you put it in, and it's
or-
for the defense of the 1-inch punch.
You can take a gunshot and you can knock somebody out with the fucking thing too.
Yeah, and if you're really strong, you can rip it in half and show off to somebody.
Wow.
I've never.
That's a
accomplished that one,
technique.
so. Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a little bit of farming
Well,
stuff.
let me ask Gord a few things here. Since you are in the fitness world, as a what label would you give yourself as a instructor?
I'm a personal trainer
Personal
and a coach.
trainer.
Yeah.
Fitness coach, life coach as well, or do you? mainly focus on the
We're going with we're just broad coach.
broad coach.
Yeah.
Just coach.
I know what it is to teach.
Okay.
That's something that's definitely different, is like knowing how to teach.
Yeah, that is a huge.
Knowing your subject in the first place is very important, but knowing how to teach is a different skill than just knowing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So since we're talking food today, Gord, I know there's some. I follow you on Facebook, and you make some interesting posts that get a lot of feedback on all sides of the opinion spectrum.
Yeah, I love it. I need that.
I enjoy that too. Kit is a big fan of that as well.
Which part?
Posting controversial topics and then just allowing people to discuss them.
Yeah, when did I ever post a controversial topic?
I post a lot. I do that. I post things to get feedback and have some information on both sides.
Absolutely, which is good. Good to have a peaceful debate.
I think it's
well, if for one thing, there was that movie that came out recently that
Are we going to movies, Robin?
a documentary.
Is it
What
a
was
good
it called there, Gord? What
Which one?
the most recent one?
The Game Changers
Yeah,
one?
Game Changers,
Yep.
which was I haven't watched it myself. I don't believe Kit has either, so we
haven't.
can't speak to its contents. But there was a controversy. It's a semi-pro vegan vegetarian. I don't think it's explicitly pro-vegetarian or vegan, but it
No,
implies-
I think that was the idea.
it's a
Well,
bit of
if
you-
it's an implied.
Well,
Yeah.
implied. I just
The
talked
movie
about that.
the movie starts
Kit,
off.
you haven't watched this documentary,
No,
so
I just
please,
talked about that before
Yeah,
we got into the subject about the Walmart pig having fear within itself. So these people
Sure.
choosing not to eat meat or that type of meat, it's a good fucking call.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what this whole movie is about.
Yeah.
Is if it is or if it is not.
It's not a good call to eat meat that's in fear like that. It's
Yeah.
not.
right.
Well, yeah, I guess. But there's a documentary / movie with other professionals and scientists, and they've been on the producer of the thing's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, and a guy who debunked all of the things that he said in his podcast was on it, and then this guy came back and was like, look, I did my research. I've got my stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's hash it out bit by bit. And the guy had a really, really, really good argument for everything that he said.
And we'll link that podcast in the description as well.
Let's not link 40 things to this.
Yeah,
Well, we're already,
we
you know,
should.
we
Where do you
may
stop?
as well, right?
Got to get your info.
Yeah, people they like to look these things up themselves.
Yeah, but they'll know just from saying that. They can Google that thing. The farm fit, they may
That
not
might
be
be a
able to
little more
Google that. Yeah, you don't need to link everything that's Googleable.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Well, I'm going to link that anyway.
But anyway, yeah, like what I think one of the things for the vegan diet that doesn't necessarily get considered.
Are you a vegan, Gord?
No,
Okay.
no,
Sure.
definitely not. One of the things that doesn't get considered is just the fact that if we say that all plants are better than all sources of meat, that's like hard to say and hard to prove and hard to figure out. But if we say all plants are better than one source of meat, well, yeah, of course there is. There's a crazy amount of variety in all plants. There's tons of different kinds of food there.
Mm-hmm.
But if we say one plant, can we find one plant that's better than one type of meat that has more nutrients, more calories, it's
Kale.
better for you? No.
Kale
How?
has more protein than chicken.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Let's look that up.
By
right now.
weight, I doubt that.
It does.
Doesn't.
Can we look this up?
Definitely
Because
not-
we need to
definitely not
show
by
that
weight.
Commissioner's correct. We have to find this information now.
It's different.
What
for
if
sure.
I'm correct?
What do you mean?
That kale has more protein than chicken.
But what are you asking when you're saying that?
is that
No, I'm
because
just telling you that
equivalently
there
by weight?
is a plant out there that has more protein than meat. What was your challenge?
tell me which one.
Kale.
Let's
So are
do
you
it.
saying one
Let's look it
pound
up.
of kale has more protein
than chicken.
1 pound of chicken.
I want to look it
Well,
up.
no, that's not even what he's saying. He's just saying chicken has more or kale has more protein than chicken.
By weight.
But you have to compare it by
Yeah,
some
but how the
metric, right?
fuck are you going to eat 3 pounds of kale?
Just look it up and then
That's what I mean.
you'll find out
That's why these arguments are stupid.
you don't have to eat 3 pounds of kale. It's not a stupid argument. You're just being stupid by not looking it up.
So I'm looking up by weight.
Kale has more protein than chicken.
Okay.
And as a farmer, I know this because I grew the fucking kale.
So what we're going to have to do is look up how much protein
How much kale
has.
you have to eat. But then by weight, you will get more out of the kale than chicken. And that's
It's
a
possible,
Now,
but
here's the other thing.
but-
Just a minute. Here's what else you'll get. You'll get a vegetable that's grown in the ground, dirt. So you'll get all of the elements from Mother Earth. The chicken right now is being fed by the number one asshole in the world, Cargill, that uses crappy foods to feed and put in their chicken.
Well, you're
pellets.
comparing a crappy chicken then to a...
All
kale.
the chicken's going to be crappy unless you hand raise it yourself like I did in the fucking woods.
Sure.
And you don't feed it the pellets and you get it a natural environment and you fucking butcher it yourself and you do all those processes. Then you can say you're eating chicken right
All
now.
right. So do we want to know the answer?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
So out of 100 grams of chicken, 31 grams are protein.
Okay.
Out of 100 grams of kale, 4.3 grams are protein.
Okay.
Very close,
Not quite.
but not
That was
a cigar.
That was about, what is that, 8%? Yeah.
Gord
To
wins.
fail.
That was
The
a plane
first
crash.
podcast Google search battle is
Gord
in
is-
Gord's corner.
Yeah.
Now, 4% is pretty fucking good, though.
Okay, so I want to make your argument better.
Okay.
That's why I argue with most people is I don't give a flying fuck
What the
about
facts
who
are.
is right. I want your argument to be better.
I want to be right all the time.
I know, but
That's
you
wrong.
go down the wrong path, then it's just a fucking trash zone. Like,
Yes, this is
So-
true.
Wanting
So,
to be right is wrong
here's-
because you don't
So what
learn.
do you do then? Do you strive to be right?
you just do your
Strive
best.
to learn.
You just do your best. That's it.
Yeah, I like this, guys.
I think that's
You have
it.
changed my life today.
So, Gord, let's
on a greater
let's improve.
path.
So
this argument.
part of the thing that we actually need to discuss is who are we talking about? What
But we were
person?
talking about the chickens.
Yeah, like what? But we're talking about protein in food, and it's like, who are we talking about? Are we talking about me, or are we talking about my mother, or are we talking about somebody who lives in South Africa?
So you're saying everybody's
Or-
different.
Yeah,
Let's,
it's
like,
really important.
customize
Since I'm
Ferrari.
supposedly driving this ship today,
Drive it then.
I'll just ask in the context of your job. Let's say a person comes in
Yeah.
and they're working an office job. They're eating your average. I don't know what you'd call your average Canadian diet, but
Yeah,
not
I don't know
not
what
a
that.
healthy.
I don't know what that means.
I know what the
healthy
average
diet.
diet
They're going
is.
out to-
Your,
Let's say they're going to
Kraft dinner?
McDonald's a couple times a
Your
week.
Cheerios?
Yeah, I don't.
They're-
Your milk?
But who are we talking about now?
Everybody.
Are we talking about what he's talking about, or are you?
I'm talking about a
Yeah.
person who's coming in.
Like if we say that somebody eats as per the Canadian Food Guide all the time
Right.
and gets their regular exercise that they're supposed to get, that Canadian Food Guide is really fine for almost everybody if you follow it.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. And if we're talking about a single individual, they can do better.
Sure.
Of course they can. When we're talking about an entire country, that's a completely different story.
So it's just
we
like a
we
guide.
can't do that. And that's where we say we're the Canadian Food Guide. It's a good guide. It's called a guide. It's not called the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not the way. Even when you turn on your GPS on
Just a
your
minute.
car.
This reminds
Not
me
only
of a
one way.
Mandalorian. The new series.
Are we sponsored by Disney?
Yeah,
I don't
we're
know, but I
sponsored.
need to smoke some weed because my brain's thinking faster than everybody else's right now.
The Mandalorian is, and their whole thing
What are you
is
talking about?
this is the way. You know how they say that? Have you seen it? You guys haven't watched it?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's
I've
awesome.
seen some of it.
You're
Yeah.
not
So
allowed
this-
to talk about it.
No, but
no
this-
spoilers.
No, but
Spoilers,
this
you
here,
know.
when you're saying this is the way.
No, I'm saying there is no way.
What?
Yeah, he's going anti-Mandalorian.
I'm saying it's a
here.
guide.
I thought you were like, this is the way.
That's no.
It's
Because
a
it
rough-
sounded.
That's what I made it sound like.
Right
That's how I
away.
use my
Yeah,
voice.
right away. I was like, I tuned into the Mandalorian.
All right. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for that free plug. there.
No, they paid me to do that.
Hold on a second.
well,
so
I'm
what?
You guys aren't got. You didn't get your
I haven't got my
paychecks?
check on
Oh
that.
shit!
Yeah. So what usually happens is I'm in the middle of making a point and I get interrupted
Oh,
because
sorry,
you don't
bro.
understand what the fuck I'm talking about yet.
Yeah.
And it's not always consistent because I learn new stuff all the time. So I frequently battle with myself on these arguments and why they're true and why they aren't true. And what I come to terms with when I settle on something is like, okay, what's good advice that I can give to that person on that day, knowing what I know about them, right? And so that's what coaching is, right? It's helping an individual get to what they want.
I like that.
That's what
a good
coaching is,
answer.
right? So when I'm doing that for people, I have to understand why 4.3 grams of kale is better and why 3.1 grams of protein from chicken is better.
31.
Yeah. Or when are they better? Right. And if I'm talking to a vegan, chicken doesn't matter.
Right.
Right.
Can't
It just
factor-
doesn't matter.
You're not going to factor that in.
Yeah, why am I even thinking about it? And so it's a different conversation with a different person. And then when I'm talking to somebody who has no specific dietary needs, I'm going to go, eat the chicken. It's too much kale. It doesn't make sense to eat that much kale to get that much protein out of it. It's easier. Do you want to waste your whole day? How good of a cook are you? Are you a really good cook? Okay, if you're a great cook, I'm going to give you some different ideas.
And make some fancy kale recipes.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to cook your kale with
You're
your
gonna do that
quinoa.
as a personal trainer.
That's what I do for people. Is I figure out who you are,
Sweet.
and I try
So
and figure out
Lincoln is
strategies. that help
Specialized,
you.
man.
Link
Because
in
I always
the-
thought it was just going to the gym and fucking, hey, man, fucking pick this weight, lift that shit.
And what is
No, it's spending time with a person that's an expert in their subject, and they get to know you.
See. This is
Yeah.
good information, Gord.
and what is your page on social media there, Gord?
It's Focus Strength Performance.
Focus Strength.
That's my business page. If you want to see my regular page, which everybody says this, they say, "Hey, I looked you up on your social media," and I'm like, on my personal page? What'd you look at? Like, if you're looking for my professional opinion, it's not on my personal page generally.
So what you put on, you have two separate lives: your personal life. And
Yeah,
the
if I'm talking as a professional, it's very different from just fucking around.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a different mode.
this podcast is about
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah, like anybody who see me in the gym, I'm not fucking around that often. I'm doing my job. Like, yeah, I take it serious because I'm dealing with people who I'm trying to provide value for. Right, that's the whole point of my job. So I want to give them as much value as I can possibly
if you go and figure out what they need to eat and break that all down, and you're doing that, that's like a high level paid nutritionist at the same time.
Yeah, and it just takes time, right? I can't tell you what to eat after being around you for one day. It doesn't make enough sense. I can't tell you to do anything after just being around you for one day. It doesn't work. I can barely even tell you what exercises to do, right? It doesn't make any sense. I can go, here's exercises, and everybody can exercise, but what to do is completely different than what you can do. Right? It starts turning into there is a little bit of a way here that definitely works for you. Your body works like this. You've been trying to do this for a long time. Why? I don't know. Just because you made something up and you saw something on TV that looked like fun, I'm like, that's good. That's how you get into doing something, is it looks like fun. And you think you might enjoy doing it. And then you start realizing, like, oh, okay, for me to be able to have fun, my body's got to work.
Yep.
And that's when we start asking questions of our body, as we go, what is it capable of? And what can I do with it? Can I play rugby? Or can I just barely get out of my bed in the morning? And so you've probably not been moving your body in the way that it was supposed to move in the first place.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's the same thing for your diet. There's the things that your body likes to eat, and there's things that it doesn't. And if you haven't eaten,
Reaction.
if you've taken yourself off gluten for the last 3 years, and you go to eat a piece of bread, yes, you're going to have a hard time with that. But if you eat small amounts of food, and work your way into it, your gut bacteria changes over time.
Gluten was a made-up fucking word.
It's a protein.
I thought it was a made-up word just to fucking explain why everybody was being toxified by the sprays of glyphosate in their food.
Yeah, it's a protein that's in your food. That's in your. It's from wheat. It's a protein.
I thought it was the wheat fucking poison. But I might be wrong.
No, there's definitely like different things sprayed on.
I just keep talking about that because
from what I understand, I think it just the certain wheats that are grown these days just have higher gluten concentrations.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that actually might be related.
If you've seen 9/11, the planes crash in, if you've seen all the shit that's going on around you,
we're not talking.
Okay, I need to smoke some weed today. For sure now.
Well,
like I'm not.
Hey, do we have one?
I need to be on a different level for that. Okay.
Well, honestly, the wheat is genetically altered to produce its own poison.
It's going to be resistant to different stuff. It's going to change itself in different ways, for sure. I'm agreeing with you and adding to it.
Genetically modified corn, genetically modified wheat by the big Monsantos. Thank you, sir, for rolling a doobie.
Yeah, thank you. Need that.
These are reasons why I went into farming, and farming in the aspect of non-genetically modified plants.
Yeah.
So what this corn does is it produces its own poison so the bugs don't eat it. Now they don't have to fly.
It's a BT toxin.
Yes,
I've
BT.
read this. Yeah,
boom, you're on before. It, brother. So the BT toxin creates the reactions that people are having. Now the gluten is a word that's sort of made popular because everybody's getting fucked up off BT toxin.
Because it sounds like something you don't want to eat, right? It sounds gluey. It sounds sticky. It sounds slow. It's a fucking great word to say.
Yes, but what it is just to alleviate the minds of the mass.
They could have picked
and
anything.
The real information. And the real information is don't eat fucking GMO breads.
Yeah. And this is the disturbing part is when we get something like that and the news just posts it and it's an inflammatory headline that doesn't make any sense. It confuses you. It confuses me until I read the article and I'm like, you guys are assholes for posting that.
Do you mean just the Facebook kind of news?
Yeah, just the thing is, it says gluten is the problem.
Yeah.
Like if there's a headline that says that, now 500,000 people go, oh, gluten could be the problem. And now you got this many people thinking that gluten could be a problem. The placebo effect says that most of those people are going to think gluten's the problem and they're going to cut it out of their diet. And then when they go to reintroduce it, they're going to be like, oh, I am allergic to gluten. This is all that's happening. That's all that's happening. It's not good. In addition to what you were saying, right? You don't know. Okay, I'm saying I do.
I don't know. I can't be totally decisive. Remember, this is just a satire.
Well, we're learning as we go.
I'm learning
just trying to
that this is a satire.
We're making the best decisions we can as we go.
Well, it all is a satire. Really, our lives are running on this hamster wheel of life, and we're kind of stuck on a one track. Look at that's a coner.
Oh, we got a
coner. Thank you, Isaac. Wonderful man that guy is.
There we go. We got up close.
Special dude. Because as soon as we break into the controversial stuff, the stuff that you like to talk about,
we're gonna have
the BT toxins in the corn, on the wheat.
Yeah.
Then you realize, hey man, what the fuck's going on here? Why the hell would we have that? So there's this poor Saskatchewan farmer who's growing his canola, and then the big Monsanto farms next door to him, they throw in their GMO canola oil, the special GMO, and some of the GMO floats over to his fucking farm a few miles away, grows in a little patch grows in his batch there, and the lawyers of the big company come running over and they They sue the guy for having the GMO canola that blew over in the crops.
Yeah, I've read about this in the
You
States
read
as
about
well.
that one, eh?
Yeah.
So you got all of this big stuff happening, and we got to be aware of these big players that are feeding poor quality foods, poor quality meats, poor packaging, and these are some of the issues that we currently face. So if we were animals in the jungle or in the woods somewhere, we would start identifying these. And the problems are, or the issue is that some people aren't capable of identifying these issues now. So you have to be mindful.
It takes a lot of energy to learn about these things.
Yeah,
actually.
I guess. Yeah, it does. So how do you
willpower.
support a good company? How do you support companies with your dollar that are going to increase your senses and abilities?
Let's talk about some of those.
Speaking to all the things that you guys are saying, for instance, buying the chicken that's grown on some type of local farm that you're able to go and check out the conditions and everything. That's ideal. Go to your farmers markets locally, support the local economy, and then that will grow ideally as more and more people do that. That's a big way. I suppose I go to the Moss Street Market on occasion. Do you guys attend any markets specifically? We went to the Salt Spring Apple Fest kit this year. That was great.
Fantastic. How many types of apples did you get introduced to?
Oh, I probably tasted at least 50.
Well, this coincides.
You ate 50 apples?
50, but they have different. They had
They were
sliced
all
ones.
laid-
that
Jesus.
They
different.
were all
Thank
laid
God.
down on the table.
Yeah, I
I'm like,
didn't have-
holy crap.
Yeah, I didn't have to eat.
That's a ton of apples.
Yeah, I didn't have to luckily eat 50 apples, but I had probably 40 slices of different apples, and then I ate 10 other apples.
Yeah.
You ate that whole day.
Well, because
That
I
was an
bought
apple.
a few too. I bought some.
We got to get this over to Robin here, too.
Ted, do you mind helping us out with that?
Ted's not on screen here.
He's refusing.
He's a.
We have a refusal here.
Ted doesn't have his pants on, so it's embarrassing. I get it.
Isn't it? Wouldn't it
That
be
was your
embarrassing if he didn't have his pants on and he was just sitting here in our podcast for us?
Yeah,
That was his unscripted cue to do what he wanted to earlier.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yes.
So I'll put my pants back on.
Oh man,
He's gonna put his pants
fine.
back on to grab the doobie.
that's fine.
Well, we were talking about companies that you can support that are doing really good things.
Thanks for bringing that back on track.
And this is All Birds.
There we go.
It's a wool and sugar cane. $135 online. They do
Where are they from?
sustainable shipping, and they are a healing tool. What they do is they feel better. They make your body feel better. They take away aches and pains based on removing synthetic barriers.
So that's another company. Oh, Gord's,
Boom. Well done,
Gord's
Gord.
rocking.
What are they, happy puppies?
says hush puppies.
Oh,
Hush puppies.
They're hush puppies.
So that's a quality brand.
It is a brand, and
Yeah.
and I think it's quality.
Yeah.
I've had these shoes for a really long time.
They look comfortable.
So what
they
they-
look
what you do
like
is
moccasins.
Yeah,
feel better.
they're definitely made out of leather. They feel nice.
Rubber
Natural
sole.
fabrics.
Yeah, they're also really well made. They're a great shoe. I really enjoy them.
So we want to support these good companies.
I mean, I support it because it's so good. that's definitely it. Yeah. Anything that I think is good, I'll hype up for sure.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, well, and as we learn about what things are better quality and what things have chemicals and things in them, then
Yeah.
we can make those.
Part of what you were
decisions.
talking about though was how do we support local and make sure that the money actually stays here too, which is equally important. So far we've just talked about the shit that we like really like, and we don't care where it comes from, right? And that's an important thing to think about too. Is how many things that we don't really give a shit where it does come from because it's so good. Right?
Yep.
There's a bunch of things like that, or because it's so cheap, or because it's so whatever.
So how do we produce shoes here? how do we now look at manufacturing and then go to create entrepreneurs that actually build things here, that manufacture on the island, so that we can actually create a shoe made here on Vancouver Island, rather than shipping overseas for products, which creates the big vessels that are sucking up so much fuel and diesel to run them. And
right.
those are solutions.
I think there's one thing that I've been thinking about lately is how big can something get before it just starts to suck? There's got to be a limit to most things, right? It's got to be based on how
shareholders
far
get
shipping.
involved as well. It's like when the bottom line becomes more than the purpose of
when your duty to your company is so large that you have enough people involved in it that your duty to them is to make sure that profits increase.
right.
It sounds like the only way to actually do what you want is to make all of your own money independently with no help from anyone ever. Right?
The most important,
Which is impossible.
It sounds impossible.
The most important thing I think to change is the way the company is projected for its shareholders, and the directors of companies aren't held liable to actions that should be now for the people, the planet or the environment, and then for the value of money.
So they are held liable.
Yeah. Right now they're not.
Yeah.
They're just they're held liable to the shareholders to make sure that they profit.
Yeah. How would we hold how would we hold the BC government liable to that?
What it would be is not the BC government, it would be it's the global economy and what the law states.
Okay. What do you mean then? How do we do a checks and balances of that?
The checks and balances is that the people and the earth come before the profit lines.
So that's definitely the idea of it.
Yeah.
How do we do checks and balances for that?
Well, in this moment, I think what Kit's talking about is that the profits go to the corporations, and then the environmental damages are having to be paid for by the taxpayer later years over generations. And so I suppose factoring in those environmental damages to the cost that will cut into the company's profits, but that will then encourage them ideally to make better practices, and everything should be better for everybody. That's where I guess regulation, which is a controversial topic for all. But
does anybody disagree with that?
Maybe big corporate shareholder types.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. Is like, so what are we going to do?
Politicians.
What are we going to do?
Politicians who are funded by those big corporate shareholder types might not want to fold over.
So what are we going to do? They own all the money.
Well, that's where
they own all the money.
That's where when we're talking about buying from people who understand as being
the people who he was just talking about.
That's where we can buy from people who we believe to be using best practices.
Yeah.
And then in the long run, ideally, those people will win out because the money will flow to them when people learn about their best practices.
Yeah.
As compared to these.
And that's
so I'm not saying that you're wrong in any way.
Right.
That's how it should be done. But right now, there's more people who say the opposite thing that we do. They're saying nah. Fuck that.
And then doing what? Just
spending their money in any random way.
Or on the cheapest things.
On the cheapest things. But guess what?
So
those are the people that have the money to do that.
Those are the people that are also being poisoned by a system of fucking crappy plastic and more junk in their house and more presents under the tree.
Because that's what kept getting them richer, was buying cheaper things and selling more.
They're not getting richer.
That's it. They're in a cycle of something different, right? They're in a different cycle. It's just different.
Food security would fix a lot of this.
Well, and a lot of this,
And that's what I'm asking those questions for. Is like,
Right.
I want to know how much we can grow a farm before it starts fucking things up, before it's too much.
Yeah, so
Right?
the model of that is Joel Salatin.
Salatin,
His model is very big, and
this is what I mean.
Produces a lot of good stuff.
Well, I don't
This is
know.
what's worth talking about.
Yeah, so that would be
What is that?
160 acres in Souk. You could create a beautiful farm that could feed this whole area.
And how many people does that feed, and how many people have to work there?
Not feed this whole area. You have to have a few of those.
Yeah.
It's very time consuming to create good quality products.
It is. And to your point before that you were saying that everybody should be farmers, I agree with that. I think part of what the fuck you do all the time is you go volunteer on the farm because that's where your food comes from, dummy.
Yep.
That would be that'd be
Know? It's like
It'd be awesome, but you know what? To approach people and say that it's not a good way to convince them. What we want to do is convince them with the gifts of the quality of the tastes and the magic of being on the farm and smelling the terpenes of the trees.
yeah, but here's the thing that
forest.
happens when you tell somebody that in that cycle and they go along with you.
Yeah.
Is they do it and then they create 50 more and they become too much and it stops working. Because the person you just suggested that to has all the money.
What do you mean?
This is how McDonald's started. McDonald's wanted to create a good family meal.
Yep.
Okay? It was one store. It was one place.
Mm-hmm.
When did it stop doing that?
Well, when it was purchased out.
Right.
So here's what we have a few. I got one for you.
By the people who had all the money.
Happy Planet in Vancouver was getting big and strong, and they made a juice company. Made some great juices. Coca-Cola came in, bought them out, plastic them up, put a number 2 leaching plastic device as now their Happy Planet packaging. So the guys with the big money, the Coca-Cola brands, poof, they come in and they poison an item that was good, was a good company. So this is what happens when you get too big.
Yeah.
Then you will get bought out.
Yeah. This is just a big romantic way of saying you build your business to a certain point, and the big guy goes, hey, we have all the money. You're not going anywhere no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And even if you do, just stay right where you are. You can't affect change.
Here's what'll happen, Gord.
That's it.
You get bought out or you get snuffed out. And those things, that's what life is about, man. And that's because...
So are we here to get bought out or snuffed out?
We're going to get bought out. We're on Main Street.
So you're going to get bought out. You're admitting to this currently that you're going to get bought out.
You buy out. But here's what you get. Here's what you
and then
do.
It becomes shit.
No, here's what you do. You make a tree with several leaves and you sell those leaves. And so you're never bought out. Your roots are deep. You've got a tree, and you're selling now leaves.
But you're also selling out by doing that.
No, you aren't.
Your product stops.
You're just
becoming,
a realist.
But your product stops becoming as good as it could be.
If that
because
leaf,
you can't take the resources of a small space and make it for more than exists. Like it can't be done.
Getting to a wider population with the product?
Yeah. Let's say we needed to make magic wands out of one tree that was in the forest.
Yeah.
There's only so many magic wands that can be made.
Definitely.
Right? You can't just keep making more.
Hollywood.
But we can go cut down other trees and make crappier ones.
Every year.
And when we run out of those ones,
every year
it just changes.
Every year the tree can be harvested.
Not when we're getting specific, but when we're talking about an idea, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
Yeah.
I had a thought. How about mandatory farm service instead of military service.
Yeah, that
You
was.
should just want to go do it. It's awesome.
Go.
It would be
Okay,
pretty cool.
I used to
Work on
spend
the
so
farm.
much time at your farm.
Yep, it was
It's
pretty
just
wild.
awesome. I used to get
tell
on the
me
get on the
some of
bus.
stuff that we would do. First of all, we had pigs, turkeys, goats. We had cows. We had everything, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's always like there's just something to do.
Gordon, did you
Yeah.
milk any cows?
No, he didn't have cows.
He just said he had cows.
You never drove out to the.
No, we never went in and saw your cows.
What?
Yeah, I know. Same reason we don't ever have dinner at my house. I mean, that's all.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I feel like I'm so busy in my mind all the time, and I'm just doing things.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to have somebody come out and give me a hand with things, because you on the farm you don't stop working. You just get up early.
Yeah.
And you
You
work
just keep
all
going.
day at all these tasks that are so
Yeah.
emergency based. Like
This is why
if
farms
the
are
pigs,
awesome.
if the pigs are running on the highway, oh shit, you got to drop
Yeah,
everything.
you got to go do it.
And you got to
was like, fuck, you gotta go
get
do
the
it.
pigs off the highway or out
Yeah.
of the neighbor's yard. I had the pigs got out, and I'm talking about
This is probably why I started doing comedy.
this.
Just got to go do
boar-
it.
This boar is 950 pounds. 950 pounds. 2 razor sharp blades, tusks sticking out of his teeth like this, and my little 6-pound Tigger bites him by the back ankle and places this boar wherever the fuck I want him to go. He's so scared of this little dog. It's hilarious. But in the woods and running around in the woods on its own, they escaped, a whole herd of them. And my neighbor, he had just laid his new lawn. Really good neighbor of mine. Fucking awesome guy. Fucking so much fun. Excavator guy. And
Is it Sean?
Sean. And
Yeah.
the pigs tore up his entire newly laid sodded lawn, and I mean made potholes the size of big, massive potholes.
I never
And I'm
even
talk-
thought about that when you
I'm
were telling
talking
this
about
story
it
the
was like-
first time.
I was talking. It was half an hour, man. They were on there for half an hour, and I was like, "Oh, literally
Did they find any good food under the sod?
a football field
The
of."
fucking boars dig like 3 feet in 2 seconds. It's like
I've never seen
it's
a
so
boar
quick.
dig, really.
Well, and the sows. So
Yeah, they did too.
this boar had the
Right.
sows over there, and they're all just what they were looking for is grubs and roots, and they love prickles.
They just eat-
love the
they eat
Scottish
awesome
thistle.
shit. Yeah.
Scottish thistle. They want that. They'll run into that or a slope grassy field. They love the real nice grasses, and they go graze on that. They'd run over to this neighbor's part where they had nice grass, and I always knew they would be running for this grass, and there was the nutrients in the different materials. So
Yeah.
when I walked the pigs through the forest, I would be watching and monitoring their activity, what they ate and what they went for. And I then looked up those plants to figure out what elements and what the plant was made out of. And I did that through the social media, through the web, the Shadow Mountain.
Took some photos and then asked
I took some
people what they
photos.
are.
Hey, what's that? Made a game out of it. I'm like, hey, what kind of plant is this? And can you guess this? As if I was some plant expert. And then I became a plant expert because all the people would post the Latin name, and I could look up everything. So I would make teas out of these concoctions as well, little health teas or whatever. And so then I switched most of the animals off feed to these wild sources, and to give them nutrients. We also went and got the spent grain, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of learning.
Yeah, we were learning something all the time, and I think that's why it's a really good idea that more people should like just go do it. Like you don't have any idea about what it is actually if you've never gone and done it. And every single day it's different. So even if you do, it's like, do you really? You're just figuring out solutions to whatever problem could possibly come up.
3 a.m. Get out of bed.
Constantly.
The bearer is down in the time to rock and roll. Raccoons are eating all the chickens in the coop right now.
Yeah, it's hilarious how much just random shit goes on all the time, and the farm doesn't go the way that you want it to.
I got a great story. I'm going to fight in front of 3,000 people at Western Speedway in my hometown of Langford, and the night before, I'm in the kitchen area, and I can hear my geese going nuts, going crazy in the pond. They're flopping and some squawking, and May's running on the treadmill. On the farm, we overlooked this beautiful pond. So I ran out, grabbed the flashlight, and I ran down to the edge of the road, right at the pond level, and I'm shining my flashlight in there, and there is this thing attacking my goose on the neck, and the goose is getting its head ducked right underwater, and it's flapping and coming up, and I shine the flashlight on. I'm like, holy shit. And I go, come here, and it's fucking kind of sees an eye on me, and it beelines right for me, and it's swimming. And I've got the flashlight and I'm shining on it, and I can see that it's a weasel on the neck. It's got a death grip on the neck, and it's dunking its head right underwater, and it's a death match to kill this goose. The goose can fucking kill it. The goose could kill it with a wing flap. So it's very dangerous for this weasel. Like they'll break your fucking leg with a wing flap. It's weird. And so this goose swims right to me, and I get ready. I fucking beat the weasel over, a direct strike on the head of the weasel from a full swing. Boof! And fucking hit the weasel over the head, and the weasel pops off, and I reach in the water. I don't know where I'm grabbing, and I grab in the water, and I throw it on the land, and I beat it to death with the flashlight. I'm like, you fucking got my goose. And it's splattering blood all over me. I make sure it's dead.
This is fucking crazy.
I make sure it's dead. And I pick up the weasel, and it fucking stinks. Oh, it's like a mink or weasel. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but my goose has got the neck. It's all, and I pick up the goose, and I'm like, oh, shit. I get the goose inside, and I go to the sliding glass door, and May's running on the treadmill. And I stand at the sliding glass door with this fucking big dead weasel. I'm showing my woman of the kill, right? Like I'm a big defender of the land, and I'm standing there, and she looks over, and she's running like this on the treadmill. She looks over, and there's this guy with full blood and fucking weasel, and she's like, ah! She thought it was a horror movie. You could ask her about that one. Anyway, So this is the night before, 11 p.m. at the farm before the big battle. Summer slugfest. Shane Wilson kicked the shit out of me. Fuck. I was so focused on the riding in on the Harleys and the big armored vehicle. I hired these guys and they came with their guns. They had to wear their guns. Like you're not allowed to hire bank or armed delivery and you can't have them without the guns. So they're like, we gotta have the guns.
Because you just had like an armored truck rented.
I rented an armored truck. I was like, I want to be like Money Mayweather. I came out of the armored truck, and these two fucking guys opened the doors with the guns, and we did a slow ride around the Western Speedway with all the motorbikes. And I think the guy at the fucking fights goes, his intro lasted longer than he did. And I was like,
it was pretty
shit.
Theatrical.
I did put a lot of energy into that.
Yeah. Well, maybe the goose and the weasel took a bit out of you that night.
I don't know, before, but it was sure a sign.
Yeah.
I thought it was a sign like I was going to cremate the fucking weasel.
Yeah, but
guy.
you were actually the weasel.
I was the weasel. Holy crap.
You're either the goose or
the weasel didn't know what he was getting into.
No, the goose died too. Maybe I don't know what the sign was.
Yeah, it was not good either way.
I was looking after the goose for 2 fucking days. The neck was all... Holy crap, weasels are vicious.
Rest in peace.
There was a lot of that at the farm. I can tell you another story.
All right.
If you want story time here, because I'm on a roll. The farm.
Do you want to keep going?
The farm fucking had so many goddamn stories, and I'm talking about viciousness. The bear story is probably one of my best because of what it did inside of me, and it scared the living shit out of me. Shadow Mountain, as I call it, is on a shady side of the mountain. It's in the lung of the valley. So the lung of the valley is where all the soil goes down to. It makes a peat bog and makes a beautiful lung of the forest. So the water rolls down the mountain and gets cleansed and goes back out into the ocean. Anyway, it's dark all the time. And the mountain is just really more of a hill. It's about a 380-foot hill, straight up kind of. And so we have a switchbacks that go up like this. And it's 7 o'clock in the a.m. and my dog starts going crazy at the door. Sliding glass door. So
Is that Bully?
Bully at the time. There was no Tigger at this time. Bully's a little Pomeranian. He's a feisty little guy. I throw my shoes on, and I'm in my boxer shorts, open the sliding glass door. The dog darts out and darts down the path, and as I'm looking out, I see the peacocks. They're up on the railing of the hot tub. Fucking, both of them are like, "Whoa," and I'm like, that's kind of odd. That's a little odd, when you see the animals do different things. The goats, they're up against the fence. They're like fucking, they're sticking right on the fence like this. And I look down, I'm missing 2 fucking goats. I'm like,
you're missing 2 goats? Oh.
There's 2 goats. Everybody's acting weird, and I'm missing. Where's my 2 goats? And they're my milking goats. I'm talking about 3 liters of milk a day of the best fucking milk in the world. Raw goat milk. Mongolian kefir. Look this one up.
I can't even say it. Oh, no. Maybe I've had goat milk at your place.
Mongolian kefir. I'm talking about these guys took over the planet.
I had...
Mongolians, I'm talking about.
I had goat milk in the Kootenays. My friend's dad had them, and they would milk them.
So
we'd have it in coffee. Very good in coffee.
I'm missing 2 goats. I go down. The dog's already at the fence down there. He's acting like a Pomeranian on some sort of speed or something. I don't know. But he was just jacked. I'd never seen him like that. Sniffing the ground and diving his face into the ground as if it was a real smell that he could pick up, which is what he was doing.
He's tracking it.
So when we got to the bottom of the trail and we're about to go up the mountain, I kind of forgot about what was happening, all these signs that I saw. So now I'm just looking for my goats. So I'm going up the mountain. I start on a path, and I'm almost not running up the mountain, but a high speed hike, and it takes your breath away. It also takes some of your mental capabilities of what I just saw and what I should be preparing for. So when I got to the top of this hike, I started calling for my goats. Sweetie, come here, sweetie. And I walked to the side, and I could step up and overview the top level of this mountain where I had made cut down a bunch of trees. I was going to make a garden at the top of the mountain and build a cabin up there. And I saw a sliver of blackness about 20 feet away behind 2 sets of trees. So the tree was extra wide because it was like this, and on one side of it was a sliver of blackness. I was like, holy shit, that's a bear. And I had my dog right beside me. He hadn't spotted anything. He was just sitting there tired from the hike. And I reached down, I stood up, I reached down, picked him up, had him in my hand here, and I looked back at the tree, and on the other side of the tree was a sliver of blackness. I'm talking about no ear, no, like just it looked like a little bit of a shadow. And I stared at that for 5 seconds, and out steps the bear, fully jacked, fully, here I am, like you're staring at me, okay, you see me, eh? And I'm standing there with my Pomeranian in my boxer shorts at the top of Shadow Mountain. For another 5 seconds, we just stare at each other. He's the size of a VW fucking car in front of me. I just lose, my nuts go up into my fucking body, and then I reach up and I just scream, and he turns right away. And as he's turning, I go into the chase, and I'm carrying my Pomeranian, and I'm fucking running after him. You motherfucker! You killed my goats! I'm gonna fucking kill you! Screaming and chasing the bear with my Pomeranian, and as I'm running, I get 10 feet, and this bear is sprinting through the bush, 40 mile an hour, up the side of a rock face that extended 40 feet with 2 pounces. He cleared all of that. He was defying gravity in the sprint. As he rounded back down the rock, he was going through trees like this, and they were just going over like nothing. And in literally 10 seconds, from a view of 300 meters, he was gone. That was it. That was it. I stopped screaming, and I started thinking about, I'm sure glad he didn't run after me.
Were your boxers still clean?
My boxers were still clean.
Wow, okay.
But the best part of this story is 2 weeks later, I was up with May working on the cabin area in the daytime. And the neighbor was there. And I said, hi, introduced myself to the new neighbor who just moved in. He says, he goes, this place is really, really weird. My wife woke up the other week about 7 a.m. Some crazy guy was screaming death threats, and it's, do you get that a lot around here? And I go, oh, sorry. That was me. I was chasing away a bear.
Oh man,
so it was probably a quite
awesome.
Interesting 2 weeks for that family.
Yeah, that's awesome. All the random stuff that happens when you're farming, it's fucking crazy.
Especially in the forest like that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I was told later that from a good friend of mine that was my spirit bear, or when you come in contact with these animals, you gotta, there's a message there. So I went and looked back at that, and I thought, well, that reaction that I had of fear right away might have saved my life, because seeing the bear run like that, you wouldn't get away.
Wouldn't have much of a
but
chance,
the other thing is that bear's eating berries and shit. They're not coming for me.
Yeah, it doesn't. It wants an easy fight.
No, it doesn't want to fight.
Well, yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, that's what I mean. It wants to be able to just pick berries off of the easy fight is just picking berries off of a
That's
branch.
right. That's why bears fish.
Yeah.
Fish aren't dangerous.
Right.
They're not dangerous at all.
The only dangerous thing, with the fishing is the other bears around.
But I tell you, you get that you don't think
Bears are pussies because they only eat fish.
Yeah.
you don't think about it until you come into the situation.
Well, Timothy Treadwell, I don't know if are you guys familiar with the Grizzly Man documentary?
Oh yeah,
Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
He went and lived in Alaska for 10 years or so. And then eventually he had an issues with some bears, and we'll leave it at that. No spoilers.
Got to watch the show.
Got to watch the show. Werner Herzog. He was on the new Mandalorian. Speaking of which,
there's lots of people that are changing the game when it comes to information on wildlife, and so many new understandings, new creatures being found, different areas still.
Yeah.
I like.
Well, and unfortunately, many lost in Australia just recently. A whole bunch of dead in the fires. Rest in peace to those animals
and people. I'm sure.
And people, there was many people, places. It's unfortunate. So, food. Get back to food.
Yep.
Food security, local food. That's something that with the climate changing, no matter who you think the culprits are, man-made or not, it's going to be probably harder to get certain foods over the years. Maybe oranges, droughts in California, Florida, blah blah. Oranges, harder to get certain foods.
Those can be grown here.
Yeah, so we have. That's another reason to focus on growing more food locally.
Saw the Bob Duncan. He grows limes and lemons in Sydney.
Okay. Shout out Bob Duncan.
Yeah, uses a Christmas lights to just heat the plant, keep it hot enough over the winter.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it looks nice too.
Well, it looks cool.
And can you go buy lemons from this guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
And lemon trees. He was at the Apple Festival as well, yeah.
In the community center, maybe?
In the community center.
Okay, I didn't tap into that. Next year, it was a little overwhelming. Next year,
oh yeah?
I'm going to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
I was a little disappointed we missed the pie too, right?
No kidding. That would have been epic. All those different types of pies.
Yeah.
One of my favorite is apple pie with
We're going to have to get there earlier next year. Mm-hmm. Hit up the 7 ferry.
Do you guys want to take a little break?
No messing around.
Want to have a little bathroom break?
Well, I'm going to have to tap out shortly anyways. I'm going to be going.
Tapping out?
Well, figuratively, because I have an appointment for 5:30.
What do you got going on?
It's none of your business.
Oh, jeez. Whoa.
I've got some
heavy.
Yeah, I've got a prior engagement.
Are you going to play chess somewhere else?
That was an attack.
Yeah.
I wasn't attacking anybody.
Are you playing chess somewhere else?
Very, very defensive.
That was a defense, not an attack.
This sounds like a date. Robin's got a date. Oh, it goes quiet.
It's not a date.
Oh, it goes real quiet. Yeah.
It's a date with something.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But I just don't like to divulge all of my actions.
enough.
I would
we don't have to talk about it.
I would agree.
Yeah. Do you really need to know?
I don't.
Exactly.
But I thought it would make great podcast humor.
Well, it already has, I think.
But you got to ask, right?
You got to ask. That's right.
Well, maybe Jeremiah will step in and run the floor.
Jeremiah?
He looks overwhelmed with joy. He's enthusiastic and 100% into it.
I'm totally down to podcast, but I think you guys have been going for a couple hours now, and that was some really awesome stuff that you guys finished with the bear story and so I would say that instead of riding the horse farther.
Is this a big no?
Yeah, this is a roundabout. You know what? The joint already went out a long time ago while Jeremiah was still talking about
I've
his
got
excuse to say no.
The joint went out over here.
Yeah, the joint didn't get passed around.
No, it didn't get passed back.
Kidding.
But-
it's just a thing that Jeremiah and I have. He always talks it out when he's like this is the Robin
likes-
story. So I told this story earlier about Robin, how he'll fucking punch you in a bad spot if he's tired and doesn't want to train anymore. Jeremiah's story is when he's done smoking weed, he won't pass it back to you and say no more. He'll just hold it, tell a long story to talk that fucker out so he doesn't have to have another puff.
Does he do that more than me?
Yes!
Okay. Do you know what my girlfriend got me for Christmas?
What's
A
that?
talking stick.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
Interesting.
it's hilarious.
Interesting.
Because she wanted to be able to talk.
She's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Talking sticks are good.
God damn it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being on co-hosts of the show today.
Appreciate being here. And
Hey, and your
Gord,
footwear
thank
matters.
you. Yeah, your footwear matters.
Your
Gord's
footwear
Kehoe's
matters.
got,
here at 1620,
Yeah.
we concentrate on companies that give our aura
good
a
socks,
chance
Good
at
socks.
life.
let's see your socks, Kit. You got some
Oh,
good,
these
nice
are good
socks.
ones. These are these special ones.
Is that from,
100% cotton,
Okay, good.
Egyptian cotton only.
Mine's some sort of space unicorn.
Wow, this
color.
is a great
Oh.
stretch.
I don't know what to call it.
Oh my gosh,
good
this is a
stretching out.
good stretch.
All right, it's getting a little weird.
A
So we're
rainbow
gonna
in the
shut this
galaxy.
down. Please
It's
like,
very
subscribe.
important. It's very important to choose your
1620
footwear.
High Noon podcast.
You'll
on
never
YouTube.
get high noon if you don't get good footwear.
It's true. You'll always be low
You'll
morning.
always be
You'll be
low-
low morning.
Oh shit!
You could do
Great
new-
awakening.
High.
Please
I've changed it.
tune in next time. Thank you
And
for
share and like on all your
all
platforms.
platforms.
You know why?
Even
Because
platform
food
shoes.
security matters, and if we have to do these kind of shows to get the word out, that's what we're gonna do.
Absolutely. Adios. Till next time. Gord, do you have anything to say?
Are we on the podcast still?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, well then, no.
All right. Just follow Gord on Focus Strength
What time does
Performance.
this air? What time does this air?
Come down to 1620. Check us out for your health and wellness needs. Boxing, fitness,
No, what
chess.
time does this air?
This will air when I put it up.
Okay.
Have a good one, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.